Greetings, American Indian Law. It is great to be with you all here today. As we say in Oneida, Segoli, Nadioliwas, Skanagoga, Skanago, just said in Oneida. Greetings, what is the news? Are you with peace? I am with peace. People, it is a wonderful March 5th day here. We have the CSULB 51st powwow coming up this weekend. Hope you're able to attend as well too. Grateful for all those who put in efforts to help make it be so. As we talked about last week as well too, just a reminder that up until 1883. Well, I apologize here as we go to the, yes, so it was 1883, the Religious Crimes Code, which made all native dances illegal. It was amended in 1933 to remove the ban, and the legislation was replaced in 1978 with the American Indian Religious Freedom Act. So I definitely encourage you all, if you're able to, be a part of that. And then we talked about in the last class as well too. It's one thing to read about these things, it's one thing to hear about these things, but to watch it is one thing, not really to experience it. That's something I would definitely encourage you. Is powwows are encouraged for all peoples to go and experience it, and you can watch other dances and songs and listen to the MC, the master of ceremonies, talk. And while we are here at Puvungna, which is so fitting as we were talking today about Puvungna, this place for the Gabrielino Tongva, for the Wenenua Hachiman, this sacred space that our university is located on, a very special thing we'll be talking about today. So just a check-in with our class as well too. We are here on Zoom. Some court cases to have you all get familiar with if you have not already. The 1996 court case, which we'll talk about more here in a moment in a lecture. In the 2019 court case, in the settlement as it was reached. You can read the settlement right there as well too. We'll talk about that as the class goes on. We're going to watch some videos today. So there's a lot of different videos from the peoples of the land, from the Gabrielino Tongva, Wenenua Hachiman, and just using that oral tradition and that storytelling, that visual medium of storytelling through film and stories. So you'll be watching that. You are going to play this until the 9:40 p.m. mark, and then you're going to hop in the chat with one word. So it's going to be pretty heavy watching today, and I know we have our midterm coming up as well in a couple weeks, but so next week we'll go in a circle and we'll talk about some of those things that you watched here today, in addition to limited state authority, which we'll talk about next week as well too. Some recommended viewings on your own, 6 generations, talking about the people here on this land. It's on Canopy, it's available using your single sign-on. It's about an hour long. And also this environmental racism YouTube playlist. So I know we have a number of people in our class who are passionate about protecting the earth, taking care of our earth mother, and how that duty and responsibility that we have. I know I'm Turtle Clan, I am Turtle Clan, and our responsibility for our clan is to take care of Mother Earth. So indeed, not just for ourselves or for this generation, but for 7 generations to come. So I encourage you to check it out. For your final paper you have coming up, indeed, people, you should have about 2.5 pages done by this class. If you have not already, definitely encourage you, perhaps get some writing in tonight or as soon as possible. As some writing today is better than no writing today, and encourage you just to start getting some words in the pages. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever you're interested about, whether you're leaving yourself voice memos or you're writing yourself notes or Gmail drafts, whatever you do, or Google Docs, whatever you're using to help in that writing process, I definitely encourage you to try to capture that lightning in a bottle, that creativity when you have it. So write when you can and write as much as you can. And also use the Writing Center. You can use our peer review as well too. Reach out to one another, that learning community that you all are. So those are some of the videos. So you get extra credits if you were to volunteer at this powwow or attend the 51st annual CSULB powwow on either March 9th and or 10th. I can send out an email about sign-up sheets for volunteers as well too, so I'll be sure to do that. All right, people. Well, again, March 19th is our midterm, your 3-minute oral presentation on up to 3 concepts relating to American Indian law. Meaning it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it could be a law, it could be an event, it could be a statute, it could be a Supreme Court ruling, it could be a state court ruling, it could be a topic, it could be very as broad or as narrow as you want to go. And I encourage you to do it about what your major is, what your career is, what your area of interest is, whatever you're passionate about, whatever stands out to you. That's what I would encourage you to present on. Then you're also graded on not only presenting it, but also being there to listen to your classmates as well. And if you're not there, and you're watching the recording and responding with 4 to 7 sentences if you want to get full credit for your midterm presentation as a key part of your grade. And at that point, you'll be about 7.5 pages at spring break on April 2nd. That first draft is due on April 9th. If you want more in-depth feedback, April 16th is that last time to get in a rough draft. We go along here to our final exam on May 14th, and also turning in the final paper before then as well too. Those 5,000 words minimum. And then your final exam is that 2-minute oral presentation on final response of up to 3 topics relating to American Indian law. Similar to the midterm, this time is 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes. And you're allowed to talk about the same topics as long as it's new information, or you can just talk about completely different topics as well too. So as long as you're not just giving the same presentation twice, as long as it's new information building upon it, I'd be happy to be hearing your thoughts. If you're passionate about it, we're passionate about listening to it as well too. And of course, some recommended resources and texts and things that you can check out on your own, as you all have resources to this. You'll have access to this as well too. Okay, people, time flies when you're having fun. You're doing great. Invitation, not an obligation, but if you want to, sit up nice and tall. Deepest breath you've had all day. Breathing in some love like you love yourself. Breathe in some love. Exhale some love. About community peacemaking, bringing peace to yourself. If you want to bring peace to the world, you first need to bring peace to yourself. You want to bring love to the world, bring love to yourself. You want to bring kindness to the world, bring that kindness to yourself and that grace to yourself. Okay, people, let's get talking about Puvungna, the sacred site. And we're going to be talking about a couple different court cases, so the 96 case, and then also talking about the 2019 case as well too. So this is created by the Honorable Judge Deborah Sanchez and presented by myself, Dr. Thomas Reed, LaGuadio, aka TJ. Let's get into it. So this Native American Heritage Commission versus Board of Trustees of California State University. This is 1996 in the California Appellate Court there. The 2 California entities, and you can read that on our syllabus if you do the link to this full court case. So about the Native American Heritage Commission, NAHC. The Native American Heritage Commission was established in 1976, created by the California legislature and approved by the governor's administration. It was created because California Native Americans were demanding protection of their burial grounds from vandalism, destruction, and scientific research. The Board of Trustees, California State University. The state legislature established the Board of Trustees of the California State Colleges, later designated, quote, the California State University, 1982, with the power to manage, administer, and control the state colleges/universities. Prior to this, the State Board of Education had jurisdiction over the separate colleges. Now, the court case of NAHC versus Board of Trustees. Quote, the California Native American Heritage Commission and individual Native Americans brought an action against the California State University seeking an injunction of the university's planned development of public land sacred to Native Americans. This is Public Resources Code 5097.94. The statutes creating NAHC authorize it to seek such relief to mitigate proposed development of state-owned land so the development will not irreparably damage or prevent appropriate access to the land for Native American religious worship. If no such mitigation is possible and the public interest so requires, development can proceed. Plaintiffs alleged that the subject land included the site of a village that was the spiritual center of a Native American religion. The trial court granted the university summary judgment and dismissed the case, finding that the statutes authorizing the NAHC's actions facially violated the constitutional prohibitions against state establishment of religion and use of public land to further religion. Some of the individual plaintiffs included Lillian Robles, Georgiana Sanchez, Susan Diaz, Cindy Alvitre, Dwight Manuel, D. Dominguez, Paula Starr, and their different tribal affiliations we're seeing here of Lillian Ahachiman, Georgiana Shumash Owatam, Susan Shumash Owatam, Cindy Tongva, Dwight Akimal Owatam, D. Kintamiek Yokuts, apologize if I mispronounce, Paula Starr, Cheyenne. Some of the history here, 1977, workers found human remains. 1977 to 78, a battle to rebury the remains. 1979, partial body buried. And noting here the people who were involved, Georgiana Sanchez, Hannah Fixico, Morningstar, Thurman McCormick, and Rincon tribal members. In 2016, other found remains buried on campus. Regarding the site, quote, many human remains were left baking in sun by workers as large burial mounds were uncovered during construction for housing and roads. These remains were simply ignored by the workers or collected by archaeologists and amateur archaeologists. This was noted by the Native American Heritage Commission regarding the site. It goes on, the Court of Appeal reversed and, quote, held that the university as a state agency lacked standing to challenge the action of NAHC, another state agency. And essentially, because it was two state agencies, the California versus California are saying this, that it lacked the standing to challenge the action of this other state agency. The Board of Trustees asserted that they were protecting the rights of their students through the litigation. The appellate court stated that students can assert their own rights. The university was not the only entity that could protect student rights. Second, the court stated that although the university had the right to manage the property, the state could decide how it would use the property. Third, the fact that the trustees took oaths to defend the Constitution did not grant them standing. Some additional facts. CUSULB wanted to develop a 22-acre site on the 319-acre campus to build a mini mall. The campus sits on top of a 500-acre Native American village, Puvungna, in the Great Gathering Place. Occupied by Native Americans from at least 580 to the 1800s, when Spanish missions and American ranchers drove them out and nearly killed them off, yet they are still here today. Complaints alleges Puvungna was a birthplace and spiritual center of a Native American religion. Complaint alleges Puvungna is the most significant and sacred site there is, equivalent to Bethlehem for Christians and Mecca for Muslims, still used today for ceremony, as you will see in some of the videos we'll be watching here. Additional facts, Dr. Keith Dixon, archaeologist and professor of anthropology, nominated two sites as historic places because those sites were, quote, the best representative of Puvungna, as they were the most clearly visible and best preserved of the archaeological sites. And that's in 1977. The sites were nominated 15 years before the university sought to develop the area. CSULB disputed the site was a Native American place of worship, etc. The Public Resources Code empowers the Native American Heritage Commission to bring an action to prevent damage to places that may impact appropriate access. The Attorney General represents the NAHC unless it's determined that NAHC must employ other counsel. The Native American Heritage Commission did its own investigation and determined the site qualified as a place of worship and that no mitigation was possible. CSULB argued 1, the university was the only practical litigant to protect student rights. 2, the university was authorized to bring suit on behalf of the students. And 3, the trustees have the obligation to defend the Constitution. The court found that CSULB's Board of Trustees were subject to full legislative control and has autonomy to the extent that the legislature bestows, citing the precedent of Slivkov versus Board of Trustees in 1977. Both agencies were creatures of the state and therefore subordinate political entities, which cannot challenge each other on constitutional grounds. The court also did not give credence to CSULB's claims that students should not defend their own rights. The land was state land, and CSULB merely manages the land. CSULB can challenge the site's sacred status, the type and degree of mitigation, and whether public necessity requires unmitigatable development. The trial court decision finding for CSULB was reversed. Appellate court did not find that the land must be used for Native American worship. CSULB could still show that a public interest requires development. Petition for rehearing was denied, and the Supreme Court denied review. So the new litigation would be a court case in 2019. It was recognizing when there was these soil or waste that was dumped onto this sacred site of Puvungna, and the people who are the issues with the lawsuit would be the United Descendants of Puvungna, that is on Tongva traditional territories. And we have this notion of where from here. And there's some pictures here of Shumash and Oatam elders. On the right here is Georgiana Sanchez, who is also taught here at Cal State Long Beach. Cal State Puvungna was the first instructor I had here at Cal State Long Beach, our first Native instructor I've ever had, and a phenomenal storyteller in American Indian literature. And also Susan Diaz, here to the left, as they're in front of the ancestor pole there at Puvungna, the sacred site. And this is summer 2021. And I will bring up here just a quick point out of the settlement and some of the language here. So the settlement talks about, and you can read it in full, and it's has many different nuances. But the part of the settlement of the lawsuit is recognized the parties now desire into this agreement to establish the restrictions of the restricted parcel. And if you read up above here, it describes what this restricted parcel is, the specific lands, really defining the area itself and the areas, what the areas are around it. So to essentially to discuss what is a specified parcel. And something interesting here that this agreement does not resolve any disputes about future actions by CSU, including further modifications to the project. Now, the agreement is the idea of a conservation easement management. So this easement area. So the notion is that it's supposed to make it more difficult for people to develop on this. As we noted before, previous to this settlement, it was whoever was the president of the university was having final say over what was to happen to this lands. So this is the current plans. As I've talked about, there's examples such as Bruce's Beach, which was this example that had given over land claims while using an exception to having for the state to have to pay money for giving over that land, where normally this could be a large sum of money. However, if you make an exception for statute and laws, more work could be done. So I encourage all the legislators, the thinkers, the dreamers of dreams, the makers of music, and those who are thinking about waving the magical wand of legislation to help change our world for the better, to think about well, perhaps there would be ways for this to be given to the Gabrielino Tongva people. And we've talked about this notion of land held in trust by the federal government, where it's still able to be developed on for tribal nations. And it has the pro is that it has less encroachment on it. However, at the same time, it's still it's federal government land. So there's the federal government still has more say over how the land is used, even though it is tribal lands, or perhaps reservation, where it could be seen for tribal lands for this state tribe. At any time, if there's any kind of hurdles, you can always make exceptions to laws and always build up new laws and amendments and different things to help justice come, people, to help justice reign. So that is where we are at right now. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please hop in the chat, let me know. Also, email me. I'll get back to y'all within 48 to 72 hours. I'm on your team. If you need any support with a letter of recommendation, with any other questions as it relates to the class, about topics for your midterm, topics for your final paper, I am here to help you, people. So again, sit up nice and tall, deepest breath you've had all day. Breathe like you love yourself. Breathe in some love. Send that same love to the universe. Exhale. And just a visual of what you all are about to watch right now. A number of videos that you all are about to watch. And while you're watching those, one of the first ones you're going to watch right here is The Birthplace of the People in Virtual Reality 360. And I would definitely encourage you, if you have the means, if you have headphones, if you don't have a 3D set, more than reasonable. If you have one, all the better. But even just using a phone, just like looking around and seeing it, as you are put in the middle of the creation story for this video, and Professor Cindy Alvitre of the Gabrielino Tongva is telling you the story of Wiat, when they're sacred people, and the story of this sacred land of the Gabrielino Tongva. And you'll watch through these different videos here, and you'll talk about these, you'll hear different peoples of the land, and you'll see how the land is being used as well too for ceremony still today as well. And you'll see different comments of peoples who are involved in the different cases and in the land and going through. And you'll be watching this until the 9:40 p.m. mark. And once you're done with that, you'll just hop one word in the chat, and we'll close out from there. And I look forward to hearing more of your ideas more in depth for the following week on March 12th. That being said, you are all human beings worthy of love, worthy of light, worthy of peace. Keep taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Yabwanko Unugiwa means thank you. Until next time, enjoy the videos. Let me know if you have any questions. Take care, everybody.